top, please.
Usually.
Besides, like, most time people just ask me how much money I make.
Well, welcome to the Withdrawals Pips. I think this is our first official Q&A type video, so hope you guys enjoy. We're gonna answer up some questions that I kind of get in my DMs, Shimon gets in his DMs, and then this video is kind of received well. If you guys like it, then we'll kind of open up more videos like this to the public. We'll kind of put more polls on our Instagram at Withdrawals Pips, and kind of put more Q&A style videos so that we can interact more with you guys, see your questions, and yeah, try to answer those best possible for you guys. So as I said, we want some entertainment vibes, so I'll smell no cigars like that. Only way to casinos or like some sort of special celebration. You guys already know my vice of choice, you know what I'm saying, blunt. I don't recommend smoking weed unless you guys already do it, that's all I have to say. All right, so how to manage losses, I'd say it's a good question. You can deal with it in many different ways, and it just comes in different principles in terms of if the loss is a trading loss or if it's a loss like you're handling in life. But both are kind of the same way you have to deal with it, right? So let's say if you're handling a trading loss, right? I always tell people, you have to go and kind of get your mind off the market. If you're taking, especially if it's a big loss, I've taken huge, heavy losses. Me and Shimon have taken losses together. Times where we contemplated even, other things, even quitting, all this certain type stuff. Quitting is really not an option when you're a trader, especially if you've been doing it, you see the potential. There's no point in quitting because you're just gonna sit there and there's really nothing better than trading, to be honest. And eventually, if you do stick with it, you will make it through. Why the actual loss rate for people, not actually being successful is because they end up quitting too early and they don't have the right strategy. But now let's say you do take a big loss or anything like that happens. First things first is kind of just stepping away from the market, getting your thoughts back together, because you're going to be emotional, right? And the main thing is, like I say, when you're trading, it's 90% psychology, okay? Honestly, it's a little bit more than that. So if your emotions start to come into play into this, and let's say you take a big loss and now you're starting to feel emotions like anger or anything else like that, your actual psychology is going to be affected due to this, and you're not going to be able to make those clear and concise trades as you were even before taking that loss, right? So I always say, step away from the market, kind of just get your mind off of it for a sec. Even if, let's say you give yourself like a three trade rule. Let's say you take one loss and you say you have 2 more trades for the day. Still, I would say take a little break, even for 30 minutes, 40 minutes to an hour. Get your mind completely clear and reset, and then start to look back in the market if that's what you want to do. But the first step is definitely just kind of getting your mind clear, stepping away from it, and then kind of dealing with the problem then after that. But you need to get your thoughts clear, because you never want to deal with a problem while you're emotional, and that goes for life as well when you're dealing with the loss, right? Just step away from it. Think about what happened, get your thoughts clear, and then from there start making decisions, start making moves. Now, in trading, I always say also have a plan for your losses. Make sure that you cut, you have stop losses, or if you know that you have a certain position, make sure that your position sizing is not too big, so that way, even if the loss does happen, it does not affect you as much, right? Your winners should always be greater than your losers. I know traders that they lose more than they actually win, but they're still profitable, right? It's only because they manage their risk in order for that way. So that way, even when they do win, right, they are still making up for any of those losses, right? Me personally, I'm the opposite. I win way more than I lose, but still, it's still the same thing. When I do take my losses, the losses are still way more minimal than what my wins will add up to, right? So you kind of want to know how yourself as a trader as well. Like if you know that, all right, if you're not as good at making up higher percentages, then you need to be better at managing your defense, right? In terms of, let's say you're taking losses, you need to be able to cut those losses way smaller. So that way, when you do start hitting those winners again, those winners will be way larger than the losers, right? So just having a plan, having a strategy, so that way when those losses do come, you're not going to get as emotional about it, so that we can be able to handle it and deal with it in a better way.
Managing losses from my perspective is going to be more so based on discipline. I think, like you said, you should have a trading plan. It could be 3 losses. For me, my plan is based around 2 losses, and then I'll have an entry, and if the entry's wrong, then I'll have a re-entry, and that's usually about most of my leverage for the day. I trade on a 2-to-1 style, so that's why I only have 2, because if I lose twice that day, at least if I win tomorrow, I'll kind of go break even. in terms of actually taking the loss emotionally and trying to manage it, I believe you should have like a sort of stress relief or something to do to distract you from your loss. Not distract you in like a bad way, like you're trying to like cope with it like a vice, but in a sense distract you like, all right, cool, I took a loss, but I still have stuff I need to get done today, and it'll kind of like recenter you so you can focus on the rest of the day and what you have to get done that day.
Yeah.
How important is position sizing, and what experiences have you had?
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of touching back on the loss thing, even what I said, you know, position sizing is a really big thing for even just managing those losses, right? If you don't have the proper position sizing, let's say if you have, you know, $1,000 account size, and you know, you're risking $500 on a trade, you know, you can do that if you're able to handle that psychologically, right? But just know that, you know, you're basically giving yourself one trade at that point, right? Because let's say if you take a loss, half your account's gone. So, you know, it's not something I really recommend, you know, going and risking more than 50% of your account. Personally, I don't even like to risk, you know, even in the high end, 10%, you know what I'm saying? Unless it's like a challenge account that I'm trying to grow and go crazy, you know what I'm saying? So now when you're on your like prop accounts and your challenge accounts, you guys know you can't even risk, you know, even more than that, right? So it's just better to get in that habit of trying to, you know, establish a smaller position size, risk size, because a lot of you guys are more so focused on the money, right? So that's where things start to, you know, factor in. You guys start risking way more money than you're supposed to, and then you start having issues. You know, but if you kind of stick to it with percentages and give yourself like a percentage-based risk portions, you'll kind of eliminate the guesswork in terms of like, all right, I'm gonna lose this much, make this much. That way you're not gonna be as emotional when you see the actual dollar amounts. Because even when you start getting to the larger amounts now, you're still gonna have to kind of do the same thing with your, you know, risk management and position sizing. So I'll say position sizing in trading is one of the most important things. Kind of like I said, getting that trading plan down, getting that, you know, position size down for your set account size, for your set psychology. It needs to be attuned to both, right? Because if your psychology can't handle risking 3%, 4% per trade, you know what I'm saying, then it's going to translate to your trading. It's going to start affecting your account size. Some people can handle it, some people can't. So you got to, like I said, you have to learn yourself. You have to see what you can personally handle. So that way, like I said, when you will start taking losses, right? But it's now when you do start taking those losses, are you going to be able to handle a 4% loss and be able to recover it and at least make back 8 to 12 to 16%? Or do you need to, you know, again, lower the risk and do half percentage and go for, you know, 1.5 to 2%, 3% gains? You know what I'm saying? Like, what you have to figure out what's easier for you, what's better for your own psychology to handle that.
I'm there with him. I agree with him on that in the sense that it all comes back to your trading plan. Like I said, for me, I do 2-to-1s specifically. I think that 2-to-1s is just the easiest ratio to get at. And again, if like I can actually like get a stop loss that's pretty decent, I'll run a 3-to-1 instead. And other than that, it's really about, you have to train your psychology and you have to understand where you're at mentally. If, for example, you're working a job where you make $1,000 over the course of like, let's say a weekend, and you're trying to trade like and make $1,000 in like a day, like if you eat that $1,000 loss, like to you that's a whole weekend of work. So you kind of have to understand where your own psychology is at and train yourself to be honestly like numb to the money, like to be numb to all the luxuries and nice things. So then that way like everything is seen more as a statistic than it is as like you're overly emotional, like, oh my God, if I hit this trade, like I can go buy new clothes or a new car. Like you have to drop it back down to where you're like a robot, just processing ones and zeros and just pushing numbers.
I feel like people get like a dopamine hit, like they think they've already won when they do that type of shit.
100%.
That's basically like what it is.
And you know, that's why I say, you know, you didn't actually win anything from the market until that withdrawal hits your account and everything like that. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, when you deposit into a brokerage, doesn't matter what brokerage it is, the brokerage has your money, and you know, you're not getting anything back out of that until you process a withdrawal, until that withdrawal hits your crypto wallet, until you cash it out or do whatever with the money in crypto, right? You know what I'm saying? So again, like what Shimon was saying, you know, you can keep your money in your trading account and stuff like that. It doesn't really matter. It's just, you know, you do have to get to a point where that money is now essentially not real, right? That's why a lot of people trade on demo way better than they do on a live account. It's because they know in the back of their head that money is not real. But now if they start on the same account balance on a live account as a demo, they'll start making way more errors as they would on a demo account, because now psychologically they know that money is real, right? But all money is technically, it's the same. So you have to understand that, again, when you start getting into trading, you have to eliminate those outside factors like, oh shit, I made 500K in a day today, let me go buy a Lamborghini today. You can do that if you want, but those are going to be the times where you're going to start making way more errors, right? You have to give yourself sort of materialistic goals to kind of look up to and handle it, so that way you can get motivated. I always say definitely make withdrawals, buy stuff for withdrawals, do things with it, right? So that way, even on the days when you are down, you can look around and be like, okay, shit, I bought this with trading, I did this with trading, paid my bills with trading, I did something with the actual withdrawal. So that way you do get that physical effect, but you don't want to, again, take everything, like every single profit you make, every single dollar you see, and just think in your head like, oh shit, I'm rich, right? Yeah. You want to, again, think of this like, all right, as a business, like, listen, I made this sort of percentage today, this is how much I'm gonna pay myself out, and this is what I'm gonna do with it, reinvest back into the business, which is now your trading account, right? So think of trading like a business. The more you do that, the better your trades are gonna be.
Confluences.
I'm not big on sharing too much information about exactly what I look for when I trade, and the reason being is because, like, out of respect for the one-on-one students that have like paid a very good chunk of cash for me to mentor them, I'm not gonna disrespect them in that sense. But to put it very simply, for me at least, I'm looking for certain market patterns during key times. There are key specific hourly candles that I look at to kind of dictate the pattern of the market pre-US 30 open. I also look at some fundamentals as well, and looking at certain news events and things going on in the regular day-to-day life of the US economy, as it does affect the stock market pretty heavily. If you don't know, US 30 is the Forex equivalent to the Dow Jones. So I'm also looking at things like that. And then the final piece that I look at for a confluence for myself is sentiment. Sentimental analysis is a big thing that I also use as well.
Define confluences.
Confluences they're just like your checklist that you're looking for, your signs to show what direction the market's gonna move. It's like your checklist, quote unquote.
We do have, again, like I said, we've had private students and stuff like that, so I won't say much, but again, confluences, are like what he said, it would be like your biases towards an actual trade. I would say, again, at least have 3 to 4 that line up in what your said direction is for what you think the market's already going to do, right? So if you're looking at the market, like we said, we're looking at key times of where the market's reacting, institutions are reacting, stuff like that. We use that as one of our confluences, to kind of dictate which way direction of the market's going, right? And then from there, I'm looking to add more confluences that are kind of going to support that bias, right? Or negate that bias. You never really know, right? So if I have more confluences that are going towards a bearish bias, then my analysis for more towards that time period is going to be towards the bearish side, right? Now, if it's obviously for the opposite side, bullish, which is going up, then I'm going to be looking for more buys, right? Again, then also looking at the charts, looking at the daily candles, the weekly candles, looking at what it's already overall doing for that set week, for that set day. Since I'm more day trading or intraday trading, I'm looking at what's really happening on that set week, what's that set day. Obviously always looking at the overall month, but I'm not really too much paying attention to what's happening month by month because I'm still trading it day by day, week by week. Again, have confluences that match up with what said direction you think the market's going in that day. And whatever, if you have 3 to 4 of them, you'll kind of see the patterns, which ones are lining up more, right? I like to use sentiment, fundamentals, and technicals. So I use all 3 types of trading to kind of add into my confluences. If you don't know those 3 types of trading, you guys can just go on babypips.com. It's a free site, learn about it. It's pretty simple concepts, and you can kind of see how that factors into the market.
How long you been in the game?
What year we're in? We're in 2023.
Yeah.
So it's been almost 6 years, I think.
I'm a little over 3 years. I think my year 3 was in November. So I'm a little over 3 years in the game right now.
What do you think was your biggest learning curve in some sense from your first year?
And I always say this, your trading journey is always going to be different. Some people are going to go profitable way faster than others. Some people are going to take way longer. I know people still taking 10 years plus to become profitable I know people do it fast. So me personally, I became profitable in, my first 6 months. But I ended up, blowing a lot of my money, spending it and doing stupid stuff. So that was kind of my psychological errors from like the first year to second year of trading. I was making a lot, but just withdrawing it and spending it and just doing stupid things because I was young, right? My second year, it was more so kind of attuning to the lifestyle changes, what came with, me withdrawing more money, making more money at a young age, and just kind of handling the psychological things. So I would say from, like 2019, 2020, I was just kind of mastering my own psychology. And then from there, I built a new trading strategy that revolved around that new psychology that kind of took things to the next level. But yeah, definitely from the first year, second year, it was just more so mastering out my psychology, because I was able to master kind of just, a simple strategy at that time, to where, the markets were a little bit different back, 2017, 2018, 2019. They were a little bit easier to kind of just, go in and out. And I was really, really good at just capturing $1,000 in a day, and I just withdrew it, right? I was just making, like $5K a week, but adding that up, 5K, 10K, 15, 20K a month, starts adding up, and you start compounding and just withdrawing. It was easier for me to get profitable, right? A lot of people, what happens is they start investing in their trading accounts, they make a bag, but then they want to scale their trading account to this astronomical number, but they have never even made that type of money in their life before, they haven't done any of that, right? So it's not realistic for them, so they end up blowing the accounts. Me, I was really at least good and disciplined to enough where I was withdrawing, so that way I was still reaping the benefits and the rewards of actual trading. So I ended up getting a return on my investment way faster.
I would say my biggest change was from year 2 to year 3, and it was because I had to, for me personally, I never struggled with the hard work aspect or the studying aspect of trading, but it was more so I had to break my own psychology on money. I didn't come from bad upbringing, I definitely I lived comfortable, but definitely making 100K in a year was the pinnacle for at least my pops. He started making over 100K a year after working for 40 years. So making anything close to that was not really feasible at the time. Even when I met Driz, I only met Driz at least I think it was once or twice in that time frame. So from year 2 to year 3, I had to learn a lot more so about my own psychology and changing my psychology to the possibilities that could actually happen, as well as more so understanding money. Money is not an end all be all, but it is also can also be your best friend, especially in the world that we live in today. And also the final lesson that was the biggest thing was learning more so how to be less of a worker, the person that does it all, and kind of be more so of a boss. Because that's the biggest struggle for me, is I try to be someone who can do all, be all in any situation. And that's sometimes more of a hindrance than it is a benefit, because I only have so much time in a day to do so much. And I would say that's probably my biggest lessons that I learned. I wouldn't say from my first year, like I said, my first year was more so just grinding and doing a lot of studying and just understanding basics. So I would say definitely for me, year 2 to year 3 was my biggest change, my biggest jump.
Vice of choice.
You already see it right here, boys. The ganja. You know what I'm saying? This calms me down. I think I said in the last video, I could probably smoke throughout the day, but I still, again, like you guys say, recording this video, it's not changing anything. I don't recommend you doing a vice though that affects how you work. You know what I'm saying? If it calms you down, that's perfectly fine. But if it affects, how you work and stuff like that, again, this is still gonna affect my health, but I have to do other things to counter that, right? But I would definitely, say, pick a vice that's not gonna affect how you wake up the next day, how you think, how you move, how you perform, or anything like that, because that's when your life's gonna really, get messed up. You know what I'm saying? You don't wanna do that. So for me personally, I choose, weed, marijuana, whatever you call it, just because, for me, I've been doing that way before I even, did entrepreneurship. It's a bad habit, but, I turned it into a positive thing because I was able to start, focusing and using it for positive efforts. And again, that's one of the things as well. If I'm having a bad trading day or stuff like that, I can, just calm down, smoke, and then just get back to it.
For me, it's the gym. I'd be there all the time, every day. To me, it's just the thing that I've done since I was younger. I've always been I've been working out for over 8 years now, and it's been the thing that's calmed me down a lot, especially when I was younger, because I had a lot of anger issues when I was younger. So I still kind of translate that today. Even now, my personality is more so I would say I'm more passive now, but definitely it's because I go to the gym so much that it allows me to like release my aggression, and I'm not as aggressive on the outside, or even like during business I don't let like my more aggressive emotions kind of peak out, because I get that ability to like release any stress and tension for a couple hours a day.
What's the strat, Ramon?
Like I said, we do have a course that kind of gives some of the, definitely like a good chunk of our strategy in there. For what I will say is that I am more of a scalping trader. Due to the accounts that I work with, the account sizes that I work with, scalping is more efficient for me. I get in, I get out. I'm usually done by 9:45 and 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. So I will say that, and then it's a scalping strategy. I'm going for quick 2-to-1s, trading US 30. That's really all I can say about that.
Shmuel said it best. withdrawalspips.com. We have our trading course. It'll show you kind of the basics for strategy. We're gonna have more updated videos on there, later on. But you guys can, purchase the course if you guys kind of would like to see what we do. Yeah, there's really nothing much else to it. Go to babypips.com. It's a free site. You guys can kind of learn about the basics of trading. Even before you guys go through our course, you're gonna need to do that anyways. So you just have to stay focused, stay disciplined, and like I said, with trading, you're not going to be, the harsh realities is a lot of people lose. So you have to understand that fact and understand that you have to find a strategy that really already works, right? We have a strategy that already works, but it's not going to be like something, all right, you're going to get it, buy it tomorrow, you're going to be successful. It's not going to happen. You know what I'm saying? You have to put in the work, you have to learn it. Like I said earlier, your discipline, your psychology is kind of be playing a factor into that. And Simone, like he said, he's more of a scalper. I'll scalp throughout the day as well sometimes, but due to my account size, I'm more so in intraday positions, swings sometimes, but more so scalping and intraday positioning.
Why did you become a trader?
Well, I first became a trader because I was doing e-commerce at first. I was doing social media. I mean, always when I was a kid, I was always, building things, stuff like that. So when I was 14, I was doing social media stuff. And then, when I came 16, I started doing, e-commerce, building businesses. And then I actually went to an event when I was 17 to learn about how to scale my e-commerce stores. It was in New York. And I ended up meeting this guy named Colt. Shout out Colt. He introduced me to actually, the trading world, because, I heard about Forex and trading on Instagram at that time. It was 2017. I thought it was a scam, like probably a lot of you guys still probably think. I didn't really know what it was. So I seen someone that was actually on stage actually talking about it. He talked about a story, and I was like, okay, I kind of like resonated with certain things in the story. So, I decided to give it a try. I bought his course. I didn't really watch his course or anything like that, but from there, I was able to download the app, which was MetaTrader 4, that I was using at the time. And I deposited $200 into a broker, and my first day, I ended up doubling the account by pure luck. I didn't even know what I was doing. I just placed buys, and I literally full margin the account. Now looking back at it, but I didn't even know at that time what I was doing. So I thought I was making like $200 from 30 cents or something, and that's what a lot of you guys think. 30-cent law, like no, that's not what it is. You know what I'm saying? So I just got I got lucky in that sense. So that introduced me to trading, and that day when I literally doubled my account the first day, I seen the potential right there and then, because I was like, okay, hold up, you can make money from your phone, and I was already doing that from e-commerce, but I had to like run a business, do sales at the market, and then I get a profit from that, right? This, I didn't have to talk to anybody. I made $200 on my phone. I literally was able to withdraw it right there. And then my brain like clicked like everything in that sense. I was like, okay, I literally just started having, everyone has those hoop dreams. You're like, hold up, let me just like make $200 every like 10 minutes. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you just start adding shit up. You're like, oh, I'm gonna be a millionaire by this time. You know what I'm saying? But those dreams are good to have, so it gets you motivated. But yeah, that's kind of what happened to me. So I just never gave up from there. I ended up blowing those accounts and many, many accounts later, and just, investing more in my knowledge and stuff like that as well. So, but that kind of got me into the rabbit hole, is just really seeing that potential of making money live and knowing that, okay, this shit actually works. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can actually make money on your phone. That's all you need. You don't have to go to a job or run a business if you don't want to.
I guess for me, it was more so that I didn't really have a choice. It was like the best option to actually reach financial freedom for me, because I didn't know anything about the entrepreneur space. The first entrepreneurial field I got introduced to was like trading, and so I already enjoyed my solace in like not having to talk to people. Like now we talk to people a lot more. I've gotten better at it, but I definitely prefer the solitude and not really having to talk to anybody. Going to work was kind of annoying. So plus in all reality, there just wasn't like a lot of financial potential for where I was at in my life. So if anything, like I can always go back to that and just max out my potential like really easily. It's at most, you know what I'm saying, get a couple jobs, whatever. So I'd cap my potential pretty fast. But trading, it's unlimited. It's based on just how well you play the game and then really how high of a level you get to. So to me, that also intrigued me. It was like a video game. You can constantly level up and just keep scaling and scaling. And then once I saw that, for me, I took losses off the rip, but I seen how fast I could blow 2K, meant I could make 2K in that same time span. So then from there, I just was, at least, I never gave up in the sense that if really all else fails, I'll go live a normal life at 30. Because that's when, like, you know what I'm saying, like I'll slow down or whatever. Until 30 or until whatever, like I can keep going. I can pull off the sleepless nights where I just keep researching and keep pulling it off and give it like 10 years. You know what I'm saying? 10 years in the game. If I don't make it 10 years in the game, well then it's clearly not my field.
Retail and institutional traders.
The biggest thing that I would say, that's since the retail traders are majority, that's including us as well. I think we're like 95, 98% of us are retail traders, and then only 2% are the institutions, the banks, and the hedges. So to separate that 98% is, I would say, maybe, this might even be highballing it, like 15 to 20% trade institutional. And I think that's even a highball. I'm leaning more towards 10%. And the reason being, and what separates that is like an institutional retail trader will trade just like the institutions. They'll kind of ride the wave of the banks, which is the most profitable way to trade because the banks have so many billions, trillions of dollars that they're just funneling. You and your $200 account aren't even gonna make a dent by a pip on the moves that they're making. So the best way, in my opinion, is to ride the waves of the banks. So I myself, an institutional retail trader, where I try to copy what the banks do and just kind of eat off their pie.
I would say the same thing. Even me at the level, even when you're trading with millions of dollars, right? You're still not an institution. Like you said, you have to be a hedge fund, you have to be a bank, you have to be a real market maker, a real market player. You need billions of dollars to be able to do that, to even make a dent in the market. So, the thing is your job as a retail trader, right, is to understand, okay, if 90 to 95% of retail traders, which is us, is losing, this is a fact, and the people that are winning are the institutions, right, you have to figure out what the institutions are doing and start to copy their moves, right? So what we like to do is we just like to flow with the institutions, right? Because we're not the ones that are there, again, making the dictations of whether the market are going up or down. They're doing that, right? They have full control. You have to understand that, and you have to play with them and understand you can flow with the market. That's why we say flow with the market instead of trading against it. You know what I'm saying? If you flow with the market, you will be able to profit. Like I said, man, trading is being a real professional trader. It's not like, it doesn't matter if you're an Instagram person or whatever, you can be a complete ghost, but you have to have some sort of strict mental routine, because you have to be able to handle these numbers, right? Handle the wins, handle the losses, handle everything that comes with it. And to be able to do that, you have to, again, keep some sort of rigid discipline, so that way you can kind of do that the most efficient way.
If you're someone like me who likes to go for titles, 60%, if your win rate for the month is 60%, you're a decent trader. That alone puts you in a very small percentage in itself of, I guess, success, because the statistics for our industry are very harsh. I'm not going to say the exacts because it might kill some of y'all dreams, and so, but there is hope. Like you said, if you work hard, you're disciplined, like there is hope for you. But again, the numbers just aren't great. But if you're chasing titles a little bit like I am, 60% accuracy for the month to month at least will put you as a decent trader. 80 to 85% and up puts you like you're definitely top 10% of traders in general. So I would say that's an A tier trader, an A plus trader, whatever you want to call it. If you push 90% plus month to month on accuracy, you are literally a god tier trader. There is probably less than half a percentage of traders that actually push that numbers month to month. It is a very hard thing to do. Even from my own experience, I'm only pushing, the most I've ever pushed is about 86%, and I jump between around the 80 to 86% range. And I've been doing this like 3 years, and this is like 3 years under the best US 30 trader like around. So even with that, the extra knowledge and help that he's given me to speed up my own trajectory, like I'm still not even pushing the god tier numbers, to put it in perspective.
Talk about how it's like important to be like an individual in some sense, like discovering yourself, you know?
It's really hard to not become who you surround yourself with. This is why they say the top, like who you spend the most time with, the 5 people in your circle, or who you become. It is, I don't believe that fully, because I do believe you can still be different even in your own circle. Yeah. I believe that even if there are like stories about that where it's like, think of like a lot of the rappers, like they hang around a lot of the guys that sell dope and run guns, and they're in like Section 8 projects, but then somehow a rapper comes out the hood, and you know what I mean, like if it was based on the principle of the people, 5 people he was surrounded with, he should have not technically made it out, even with rapping. Like he should have made nothing over 6 figures. In that sense, I think that you can break it, but it's really hard you have to really be dialed into wanting to find out who you are, what you genuinely like, who you genuinely enjoy like spending time with, hanging out with, and honestly like committing to that person, because it's really easy to just get lost and become an individual that maybe you respect, or be more like the group around you just so that they fuck with you more. So you have to stay, the best thing I could say is just mentally take account when you start to notice that you're doing things that aren't really you. Like they seem like you, but they're not typically something you would do. That would be when you would want to dial yourself back in and kind of just take a mental check on where you're at.
Yeah, I would say it was something very similar. I mean, I spent a lot of, time with myself. It's kind of how I accelerated. Even when I was first living in Baltimore, it's when I first had my own spot, I was always literally going out to dinners by myself. It didn't matter if it was a 5-star dinner or what, I would still be there by myself and just kind of, get used to my own company. And, because a lot of people can't do that. They won't go outside, they won't do certain things because they don't have people around them to do it with. And I always say, I'm like, listen, if you can't do it yourself, like by yourself, like, you have to be very comfortable with who you are, what you do. And that's kind of just, you being your own free mind, right? Because, the more you're not free in your mind, you're susceptible to being like everything else that is designed to program you, right? And other people can't program you, right? And that's what, like Shimon was saying, if you're around, these 5 people, they can be multimillionaires, billionaires, whoever, even if you still don't really know who you are, you're still gonna, like I said, start to become someone like them, and you want to still always have your own sense of individualism, know what you like to do, know like what you really, really want, what your own individual goals and dreams are. Obviously, you're always gonna have common and shared ones, but you want to have your own, so that way you're able to, again, push yourself forward. So even when the times when they're not there, you're able to still move forward in your life. I see a lot of people that, when they don't have their friends around them, whatever, they're just completely like shut down, you know what I'm saying? But like, if you still have your own goals, your own individual things, you can still move forward in different aspects. Even when, let's say, the group things are still not there, you're still able to still move forward in your own, like I say, your own story mode, right? Because you are your own character. So again, like, if we are supposedly, right, we're playing a video game here of life, this is a really, really the biggest game there is, you have to level yourself up as a character, you know what I'm saying? So you have to go through your own story mode, you have to go through your own, characteristics, see what you really want. And again, it's the best life you can have, you can literally build your character any sort of way. People are very important, because if there weren't people, you wouldn't need money. I say that all the time. There'd be no purpose. At the end of the day, you can become the richest man in the world, and there was no people for you to have, to love, or enjoy with. You're gonna be technically broke. You have nothing. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, the main thing is, people in general are very, very important. You're here again on Earth for a purpose, to again serve people, serve yourself, serve your family, create a family. We here as humans are to create. That's our job. So, again, like I said, if you want to make more money, figure out a way to serve more people. It even goes the same thing with trading. Trading is a skill where you don't have to really deal with people, but you're never gonna feel fulfilled as a trader just making all that money and not doing anything with it to help people, even if that goes for your own family. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, people are very, very important, and just be very, very careful what type of people you're around, and who you do decide to help with keeping your company. But again, you're always gonna need people to kind of further yourself in life.
The only thing that I would really add on top would just be, I would say that people are both lessons as well as blessings. Some people in your life are just meant to be people that just teach you things. They teach you to learn, whether it's something about yourself or some sort of skill that you had to acquire or learn to better deal with situations. So I would say people can be lessons, but they can also be blessings. They're definitely people. Not everyone is evil or immoral or has alternate motives. Like, some people are just really out there that genuinely just enjoy you for who you are, and those are the people that you should definitely appreciate, because in all reality, good company is not very easy to come by. And honestly, even building a circle of where everyone gets along really well and there's no issues and no complications and no problems is very close to impossible nowadays. There's always usually something. So definitely people are either blessings or lessons for sure. Like, subscribe, comment if you want more videos like this. We have we can do more the normal content. If you guys just seeing the ignorant stuff, don't worry, we can do more of that stuff. But if you guys I've seemed to notice that from my end at least, that we get more enjoyment, more appreciation for videos where we kind of talk more so about what we think or our perspectives or our stories, and give you guys the experiences that we've had to try and better help your own journey. So if these are more videos that you like, then let us know for sure. We'll make more. We can do another Q&A where we actually take more so a public poll. This time we did more generic questions from her DMs, but we'll be happy to answer more specific questions and give you guys any information that you guys want.
Guys, peace.